I didn't know that you are a photographer also.
Please turn your mobile telephones off.
Sir, revenue.
If everybody is ready, sitting down, looking in the right direction, you know we're ready to start. I can hear a little bit of noise in the back left-hand corner. Hello everybody, please stop talking and please give your attention to the front because we are going to start the lecture. لطفاً همه صورت و طرفش رو بگیم کمش باشه که میخوایم شروع کنیم این وقت داره میگذره و بعد از سخنرانی
Sorry?
پرسش و
It's over there.
و جواب بده بنابراین لازم هست که سخنرانی اول گوش بدیم تا بتونیم به اونجا برسیم. We're going to have also questions and answers. Mohamed has agreed to take questions and give answers. And as time is passing, I think we need to start. So can we close the door if there's anybody outside, so the noise from the outside doesn't come in? Can I invite people to please sit down and stop talking now because we really want to have an opportunity to hear what Mohamed has to tell us. I'm going to introduce Mehraban, but I'm not going to spend a long time because we can find a lot about him from the flyer. قرار من معرفی کنم ولی زیاده نمیخوام صحبت کنم چون خودتون درباره بخونید همون فلایر که ما پخش کردیم همه چیز نوشته شده فقط بدونید که از خانواده موبدزاده هستن البته اگر من موبد نمیتونستم باشم و همسایه خانواده من هم بودن اتفاقا و ایشون پدرش موبد نبود موبد دنبال نکرده بود کار حرفه موبدی و خود موبد مهربان تصمیم گرفت دست پدر بزرگش البته بود ولی نه پدر So Mubed was not himself, he was born of a Mubed family, which you have to be to become a Mubed in Iran, and of course of the Parsi tradition too. But his father didn't choose to follow that as a career, but his grandfather did. And they were neighbors with my family, so they were all part of the Mahal in Dasturan. And then he himself, at the age of 16, was asked to take part in a funeral, I think it was that. He had suddenly stepped in an emergency situation. سرشون رسالی یه دفعه ازش خواسته بودن که بیان مراسم دفن و کفن انجام بده که اصلا تمرین نکرده بود ولی آمادگیش رو داشت و بعدا حرفه خودش رو ادامه داشت مهندس شد. He became an engineer after that, followed his career. But later on, he found a vocation to become a mubed. And he's been doing it for 20 years now. He started when he was 20. بود 20 سالگی شروع کرد به کارهای موبدی and then he took the formal exam to become a mubed, which is called Nozadi. And he's been a mubed for 21 years before that. Then he took the exam, the Nozadi exam, and fully fledged mubed is now in front of us here. And he has risen to the very dizzying rank of head of the Anjoman-e Mobedan Iran. بعد از نوزادیش که 10 سال پیش انجام شد و پیش از اون 21 سال موبدیاری کرده بود خدمت کرده بود به جامعه حالا به سطح رئیس انجمن موبدان ایران رسیده و برای ما خیلی افتخار بزرگی هست که پیش ما اومده So I didn't want to waste more time. Let us hear what Mubed has got to say. And Professor Salama Panami is going to be helping him with his projection of slides and translation. And then I will take over again with questions and answers in either Farsi or English.
تشنهاد فرمای مزدا درود میگم به یکایک شما بزرگواران سپاسگزار هستم و خیلی خوشحالم که در جمع صمیمی شما دوستان زرتشتی لندن حضور دارم.
Hello everyone, it is a big honor to be here. I thank you for your kind invitation, It's a fantastic opportunity for me to be here with the community in London.
امیدوارم که همیشه همه زرتشتیان لندن در کنار یکدیگر همیشه هم‌حضوری و همیاری و همدلیتون بیشتر باشه و بیش از گذشته هم‌حضور باشه.
I hope this is my deep wish that all Zoroastrians of London would be united and organize such fantastic events in the future more.
چون از نظر من رئیس انجمن موبدان ایران ما زرتشتیان در هر جای دنیا که باشیم همه همانند هم هستیم و یک دل و یک صدا باید باشیم، هم‌حضور و همیار هم باشیم.
In my role as the president of the Priest Mubed Anjoman-e Mobedan, Priest Council of Iran, I believe that we are Zoroastrians, independent from our home. We are connected. We should be united.
من دیروز خدمت دوستان بودم، به روش فارسی جشن رو خوندیم با دوستان موبدان. امروز هم ایرانیشو خوندیم. همه یک جور هستیم و امیدوارم که همیشه دلخوش باشیم و بریم به سراغ موضوع انجمن موبدان.
I was yesterday here. I had the honor to perform together with Parsi priests. I performed the Jashan ceremony in Parsi Bay. It was fantastic. It was a fantastic experience for me. And today I performed the Jashan in Iranian way. But independent from the tradition of Jashan, the way of performing Jashan, it was a Zoroastrian ceremony and it was fantastic. And now let's start with my talk, with my lecture about the history of Anjoman-e Mobedan and the goals of Anjoman-e Mobedan today in Iran.
انجمن موبدان ایران از لحاظ قانون ما الان در کشورمون زیر نظر وزارت کشور کار میکنیم و انجمن موبدان بالاترین مرجع دینی و روحانی جامعه زرتشتیان ایران هست از لحاظ خود قانون جمهوری اسلامی ایران.
Anjoman-e Mobedan, the Council of Mubeds in Iran, is under the Ministry of Interior, and we are the highest religious authority in the country, in Iran now.
انجمن موبدان تصمیم‌گر در بخش‌های بسیاری هست که الان به اسلایدها می‌بینید.
They are responsible for many affairs in Iran, and now we would like to talk about our duties and our goals.
تاریخچه انجمن موبدان رسمی برمیگرده به سال 1271 خورشیدی که در اون زمان فقط 35 موبد در یزد فعالیت داشت.
As you can see on this slide, the establishment of this association come back to the year 1892, and the number of mubeds at this time was 35 in Yazd.
وظایفی که موبدان در گذشته داشتن کارهای داخلی موبدان یزد بوده، چون پایگاه موبدان ایران از یزد در دوره ناصرالدین‌شاه بود. تقسیم بندی محل‌های مختلفی از اتحاد زرتشتیان جهت امور مسائل، یعنی موبد رو می‌فرستادن تو منطقه که فعالیت بکنن، یعنی هر منطقه خوشت رو براش انتخاب می‌کردن و تعیین مقدار هدیه‌ای که بهدینان برای انجام هر یک از کارهای مذهبی باید به موبد هدیه می‌دادن.
Let's start with the duties of the mubeds in 1892. They cared about the internal duties of the mubeds of Yazd. they were responsible for dividing the different districts of Yazd and the surrounding Zoroastrian villages for religious matters. They were also responsible for assigning the duties of each mubed, that means kbash, and determining the amount of offering that the behdins must give to the mubed for performing each religious ritual or ceremony.
موبدان بزرگ که حالا درجات مختلفی داشتن، مخصوصا در این عکس می‌بینید دستور تیرانداز هستش، تیرانداز اردشیر که یکی از موبدان بزرگ در سال 1271 بوده که تقریبا میشه بگیم 7 سال از پدربزرگم کوچیک‌تر.
There was a chief high priest, and his responsibility was helping the overall leadership of the Mubeds of Yazd. One of the famous Mubeds, chief high priest, was Dastur Tirandaz, Dastur Ardeshir.
من یه توضیح بدم در مورد دستور
این تو اسلاید اسم یادم خانم‌ها رو ببخشید ملاتفت. دستور تیرانداز رو رفتادم یک کشتن دیده بودن داره اوستا میخونه، خیلی جالب بود. رفته بودن که جلو کشتن دیدن موبد دستور تیرانداز داره اوستا میخونه، کسایی که رفتن خودشون شرمنده میشن و اصلا مطیع داخل دستور تیرانداز میشن.
There is a story about Mubed Tirandaz. A group of people wanted to kill him, and they arrived at the place that Mubed was reciting Avesta. And as these people saw the scene, they didn't kill him.
ایشون هم دستور نامدار هستن که دوره رئیس انجمن موبدان وقت بودن و ایشون ارتباط انجمن موبدان یزد یا ایران رو با هند بنبعی داشتن و در سال خیلی میرفتن و میومدن و بعضی وقتا در سال مثلا 8 ماه تا 10 ماه طول میکشید سفرشون.
We want to talk about the reasons for establishment of a council of Mubeds, and the main reason was that the Mubed Bozorg, high priest Dastur Namdar, Dastur Shahdar, like other Mubeds, was also forced to travel to Bombay every few years to securing financial livelihood for himself and his family. Sometimes his return to Yazd would take a long time.
پایه‌ریزی که برای انجمن موبدان شده بود برای رسیدگی به امور در زمان موبدان که نیستن و رسیدگی به امور بهدینان و عده‌ای از موبدان تحصیل کرده و روشنفکر اون زمان پس از گفتگو و مشورت فراهم با موبد نامدار اون رو تأسیس کرد.
To manage affairs during the absence of the great Mubed and to address the matters of the Behdins without interruption, a group of educated and intellectual Mubeds of that time, after extensive discussions and consultations with Mubed Namdar, founded a council.
بنابراین شد که تو زمان غیبت موبد بزرگ موبد نامدار که نیستش هیئتی پیروی از انجمن مغان وقت رو داشته باشه. در زمان حضور در یزد موبد بزرگ خود رئیس این هیئت بود و با مشورت هممندان به امور دینی می‌پرداخت.
It was decided that during the absence of the high Mubed, a council would be formed following the example of Assembly of Mogan. When the high Mubed is present in Yazd, he will lead this council himself, but he will handle religious matters with the consultation and assistance of the council member, exactly like today.
تأسیس هم کنکاش یا هم انجمن موبدان در روز اردیبهشت و فروردین ماه 1285 یزدگردی یا به خورشیدی شهریور 1294 خورشیدی تشکیل میشه که بعدش به پیشنهاد کیخسرو شاهرخ که چندین دوره نماینده زرتشت در مجلس بود، نام انجمن مهانی، انجمن آتونان به انجمن کنکاش موبدان تغییر.
The council was established in September 1915. 4 months later, upon the suggestion of Parliament representative Keykhosrow Shahrukh, the Zoroastrian, its name was changed to Kankash Mobedan.
این داستان برمیگرده گروه موبدان در روز اردیبهشت شهرستان فروردین 1285 یزدگردی در موقعی که میخواستم واژگشت رپیدفند رو تو آتیش به رهرامی برگزار بکنن، این آتیش به رهرام در سال 1200 آتیش به رهرام محلی خود موبدان بوده، آتشکده موبدان بوده که یه هیئت 7 نفری رو با اکثریت آرا انتخاب میکنن و بین خودشون رأی مخفی میذارن و بعد از اون مجلسی به نام کنگره آتونان یا آترپانان آن موبدان تشکیل میشه.
We introduce you a very interesting document, historical documents. It's indeed a minutes of the Kongere Aturnan or Mubed Council. And we would like to read some parts of this document on the auspicious day of Ordibehesh dedicated to the Amshal Scandal in the month of Fravardin 1285 Yazdirdi. The assembly of Mubeds gathered before the revered Atash Bahram for the Wajjak ceremony, resolved to elect a 7-member council from among themselves by a majority vote. Through a secret ballot, the 7 individuals listed below were selected. From this day forward, for the next 2 years, we entrust our collective destiny to their leadership, ensuring that they govern in accordance with the charter and establish an assembly known as Aturnan Congress.
وظایفی که کنکاش موبدان داشته، رسیدگی مهمترین وظیفه‌اش رسیدگی به امور موبدان بوده، تقسیم موبد برای هر محله که بهش خوشت میگفتن که در معمولا روز اردیبهشت یعنی سومین روز نوروز تموم میشد مشخص میکردن. اگر اختلافی بین موبدها و موبدیاران جامعه پیش میومد، وظیفه انجمن موبدان بود که بررسی بکنه و رسیدگی میکرد به شکایت‌هایی که مردم داشتن و براشون سوالی جوابی چیزی پیش اومد.
Let us look at the duties of that Anjoman. The main duty was handling the affairs of the Mubeds. For example, distribution of shares in every spring, as we have already mentioned, handling disputes between them, and addressing complaints received from the Behdins or other Mubeds.
رسیدگی به امور دینی زرتشتیان که یکی از وظایف خیلی مهم بوده و همینطور مشخص کردن سخنران و سخنرانی‌های گوناگون در جاهای مختلف و مکان‌های زرتشتی.
Another task was handling the religious affairs of Zoroastrians and delivering lectures to inform fellow believers about the principles of the religion and the teachings of Zoroastrianism.
و با دریشی که اون زمان موبدا و خانواده‌ها داشتن و خیراندیشا، 2 مدرسه ابتدایی رو تو محله دستوان یزد، یکی برای دخترها و یکی برای پسرها تشکیل میدن. مدرسه دینی یعنی مدرسه مارکا که به همت پارسیان هند هم بوده.
Through generous support from Behdins in Iran and also Parsis from India, the Anjoman was able to open 2 primary schools for the education of children as priests, and one school was for the girls and another one for the boys.
مدرسه رو که امروز می‌بینید سال 1295 تو محله دستورات درست انتهای کوچه موبدا، من اینجا خیلی خاطره دارم می‌بینم اشکم در میاد، خونه پدری و اجدادی ما چند قدم از اینجاست. پسر منم همین امروز همین مدرسه دینداری رو میده و این مدرسه سال 1295 ساخته میشه. الان حدوداً 110 سال هست که داره کار میکنه به کمک مالی شادروان رستم موبد خسروی صداقت و پس از درگذشت فرزندش اون مدرسه رو به نام دینیار، مدرسه دینیاری تغییر نام دید.
When I look at this picture, I remember many sweet memories from my childhood because this school was very close to our home, and my son today attends the school in Priest Quarter in Yazd. The school was built by the Mubed Council in 1916 with financial support from Rustam Mubed Khosro Sedagat. After the passing of his son named Dinyar, the school was renamed to Dinyar School.
اون زمان بیشتر خانواده موبدان ساکن یزد مهریزاد و مهرگان، یعنی روز مهر از ماه مهر، گوسفند رو قربانی می‌کردن که طبق گاته‌ات 32 اصلا کار نادرستی هستش و موبدان کشته شدن حیوانات و فریادهای شادی که اصلا هماهنگی نداره با پیامبر و زرتشت رو منع کرده بود و جلوی این کار رو انجمن موبدان گرفت.
One of the activities of Anjoman-e Mobedan was prohibition of sacrifice to Mithra or Mehrizad. In those days, most Mubed families resided in Yazd during the celebration of Mehrizad on Mehraban festival, that means the day of Mehr, month of Mehr, would slaughter a sheep in the name of Mithra and offer it as a sacrifice. They believed that the mass slaughter of animals was not in harmony with the teachings of Zoroaster, and it was the reason that they followed the tradition.
کتابخونه‌هایی رو تو محله گنبارخونه درست بغل همون عکس می‌بینید گنبارخونه بود که تشکیل دادن. این کتاب‌ها مدت‌ها در مورد اختیار موبدان و همکیشان بود و در سال 1352 با پایان کار کنکاش موبدان کتابخونه تبدیل شد و کتاب‌های بسیار ارزشمند این کتابخونه به کتابخونه هوارش نزدیک مدرسه ماهانکار دختران انتقال پیدا کرد.
Kankash Mobedan established also a very important library. It was used for many years by Mubeds and Behdins, also the non-Zoroastrian people. In 1973, with the dissolution of the Mubeds Council, the library was closed and its books were donated to the Varsh Library, which is active today in Yazd.
تعلیم و تربیت موبدان بود. ارسال موبدان بزرگی چون موبد فیروزه آذرگوشست و موبد شهزادی به هند و اونها رو به مدرسه کاماتورنان هند فرستادن و اونها رو باعث شدن که دوباره برگردن ایران و دین رو آموزش بدن.
One of the important duties of Anjoman Kankash Mobedan was to educating the priests. They sent two Mubedzade, Mubed Firuz Azargoshast and Mubed Rostam Shahzadi to Tehran for education at Alborz High School. It was American college in that time, and then they were then sent to Bombay for further religious education at the Kama Authority Institute.
تو سال 1342 ادغام کنکاش موبدان یزد و تهران صورت میگیره و بعدش سال 53 پتات کنکاش موبدان به دلیل استعفای 5 نفر که مشکلاتی پیش اومده بود تعطیل میشه و دوباره در سال 58 یک سال بعد از انقلاب تأسیس دوره جدید کنکاش موبدان به نام انجمن موبدان تهران شد.
In 1963, we have the merger of the Mubeds councils of Yazd and Tehran. In 1974, the hiatus of the Mubeds council due to the resignation of 5 members, and in 1974, the establishment of the new era of the Kankash council.
اما از همه مهمتر صحبت حال مهم انجمن موبدانی که امروز هست و وظایف بسیار سختی رو داره. پروانه‌ای رو که می‌بینید انجمن موبدان پروانه‌اش هست که از سوی وزارت کشور ایران صادر میشه و وظایفی مشخص شده که خدا رو شکر این وظایف توسط انجمن موبدان هم انجام میشه و جمهوری اسلامی ایران هم هیچگونه مشکلی نداره و همه همکاری رو انجام.
It is important to talk about now, today, the situation of Anjoman-e today. We should add that each religious minority institution needs a permission from the Ministry of Interior in Iran in order to be able to be active. And Anjoman-e, like many other institutions in Iran, has received a permit for activities. Until now, they didn't have serious problems. We can talk about it maybe later because we should really explain many things, but for now, they have this permit and they can operate without any big problem.
طبق قانونی که خود انجمن موبدان گذاشته افراد زیر میتونن عضو بشن. موبدان هستن و فرزندان موبدان با 18 سال، موبدزادگان، موبدیاران بالای 25 سال که آموزش دیده و داره گواهینامه لازم باشن پایبند به قوانین انجمن موبدان باشن.
The following individuals can become members of the Anjoman: Mubeds, children of Mubeds and Mubediars. In the case of Mubediars, they should be over 25, trained, certified, and committed to the associations by law for conducting ceremony.
این که گفتم عضو هیئت مدیره انجمن موبدان، هیئت مدیره انجمن موبدان حتما باید موبد باشن و موبد.
We talked about the members of the Anjoman and not the leading committee of the Anjoman. In this case, all of the members of the directorium, they should be definitely moved.
اهداف موبد توی این عکس دارید می‌بینید که آیه موبد خودش بلندی نوزود داره، میشه مراسمی رو داره، نگهبانی از اصول دین زرتشتی و به روز رسانی فروع دین و تازه کردن آیین بر پایه اصول.
Let us look at the current rules of Anjoman-e. First of all, safeguarding the principles of the Zoroastrian religion, updating the secondary principles of the religion and faith, and renewing the rituals based on its principles. And this photo shows the no-suti ceremony of Puladi, one of the members of the Anjoman-e.
یکی دیگه از اهداف انجمن موبدان ارائه دادن دیدگاه‌های کارشناسی به ارگان‌های رسمی، مجامع بیرون، قوه قضاییه، اداره‌های دولتی و اداره‌ها و دادگاه‌ها هست. وظیفه انجمن موبدان خیلی مهم هست، باید دیدگاه کارشناسی رو خودش رو همین امروز هم اعلام بکنه.
One of the most important duties of Anjoman-e is providing expert opinions or fatwa to Zoroastrian organizations, and not only Zoroastrian organizations, but also official and judicial authorities such as government offices and courts.
تشکیل کلاس‌های آموزش دینی و صدور گواهینامه برای موبدان و کارهای موبدی.
Organizing educational classes and issuing certificates for the Mubeds.
نظارت بر موبدان، موبدیاران، آموزگاران، آتشبندان، سخنران‌های دینی، نهادهای اجرایی آموزشگاه‌ها، اجرای دینی، آتشکده‌ها، زیارتگاه‌ها و پاسخگویان پرسش‌های دینی و سخنران‌هایی که انجام میشه.
Anjoman-e supervises Mubeds, Mubediars, religious teachers, firekeepers, religious speakers, religious executive bodies, fire temples. They are responsible for the works of fire temples, pilgrimage sites, and those responding to religious inquiries.
صدور احکام شرعی در ارتباط با تعلیمات دینی یا تغییر و تعمیرات دینی.
Issuing religious rulings related to religious teachings.
همیاری در امور خیریه در کمک‌های مادی و معنوی به نیازمندان جامعه زرتشتی.
Cooperation in charitable activities providing material and spiritual assistance to the needy in the Zoroastrian community.
انجمن موبدان تاکید ویژه در برگزار کردن هرچه باشکوه‌تر مراسم دینی به ویژه تشویق کودکان و جوانان به شرکت در مراسم با اهدای جایزه و برنامه‌های گوناگون داره که سعی بر این می‌کنه که اون سن کودک، نوجوان و تا 18 سال رو بسیار تشویق کنه که چون ما باید این دین رو به اونا بسپاریم برای نسل آینده.
The Movements Association focuses on making religious ceremonies as special as possible. They especially encourage children and young people to join by giving rewards and having fun programs for them.
یکی از مهمترین رویدادهای در انجمن موبدان برگزاری همایش موبدان امسال بود که در تاریخ 22 تا 24 فروردین در یزد بود که من بسیار سپاسگزار هستم از تمامی بزرگوارانی که کمک کردن، دوستان از لندن، کمیته یکایی که شما بزرگوار و تمامی کسانی که همراهی کردن ما رو در ایران و همینطور موبدای ایران که تونستیم و مسئولین ایران که تونستیم اینطور جشن و همایشی رو برگزار.
One of the most important events of the Movements Association was the organization of this year's Movements Conference in Yazd, 10th to 12th April, and I thank you for the generous support of Zoroastrian community in London and all movements and organizations in Iran who supported us to organize this fantastic conference. And now we would like to show you a video from Mubed conference. After 18 years, for the first time, a conference was organized, and all of the Mubeds from different cities in Iran was invited to this fantastic conference, and they worked on standardization of the rituals in Iran. have to wait, there is no video player on the laptop, and maybe we can download it. It takes a little bit of time, but we'll find a solution.
Right, well, in the meanwhile, because the techie thing is happening, there's an opportunity for, and maybe have the lights maybe? I don't know if that's a possibility. We can have some more lights, lights. Thank you. Is it a chance to ask questions? All right. Is it a chance to ask questions while we're waiting to see if we can resolve the technical problem? So we have questions, you can ask them in Farsi or in English. Please raise your hand so I can see one over here. Can you also make them shortish? کوتاه باشن، خواهش منم پرسش‌های شما که به هر کسی که سوال داره بهشون برسیم. So we can get to everybody. So would you like to ask your question? Let's do this one first. Make it short, please.
I'll bring it back to you.
First of all, I want to thank Dr. Mehraban Puladi coming all the way from Iran to here to enlighten us. And I appreciate I'm also a member of the Anjoman-e, and I know how hard they work keeping together in Iran's situation right now. Two questions questions I have. I'll keep it short. One is that the very first Anjoman-e Mobedan was at Zoroaster time. زمان زرتشت که حتی تو گاتان بردش انجمن برادران میگه. How much we can compare ourselves to the very first one in Zoroaster time. Second question, we have a council of Mobedan in North America, one in India, and possibly one other places. Are we moving towards a worldwide Mobedan council to unite and converge together?
سوالی بود که آیا امکان هست که انجمن موبدان هندستان و آمریکای شمالی و مال اروپا انگلستان یا مال ایران با هم یگانه بشن و همشون در یک جا با یک هیئت مدیره کارشون انجام بدن. این یکی از سوالاش بود و سال گفتار پیشینم بود که در دوره در گفتم که حتما یک همکاری بوده برای موبدان‌های اون دوره و نظری دارید این سوال. So I'll just translate the question that he put.
ما در گاتها خود انجمن مقام رو داریم که همازوری و همیاری همه یکی از وظایفش هست.
We already have an Anjoman-e Moqam, the Council of the Majors, which is a kind of Gata council.
بنابراین در هر جا که زرتشتیان انجمن موبدان دارن وظایفی رو انجمن موبدان داره که به نظر ما تو ایران که سرزمین مادری هست بالاترین و برنامه‌ریزی‌هایی که گفتیم زیر نظر خود جامعه برنامه‌های دینی همه باید زیر نظر انجمن موبدان در همه جای دنیا صورت بگیره چه هند چه ایران چه آمریکا کارهای دینی حتما باید زیر نظر انجمن موبدان باشه.
We believe that the work of the Anjoman-e Mobedan, the Priest Council in Iran, has authority and, if I'm understood correctly, in due course, this council's authority should be consulted when issues about religion are to be debated and discussed. But of course, the whole concept of the worldwide unity of Anjumans, we haven't got to that point yet.
یکی دیگه از اهداف انجمن موبدان ایران این هست که با تمامی انجمن‌های موبدان و موبدان دنیا ارتباطی سریع‌تر همازویی و همیاری برقرار بکنه.
It is the hope and the aim of this current Anjuman, the Council of the Mubeds in Iran, to establish stronger ties and stronger connections with all the worldwide Mubed bodies so that we can go forward.
توی ایران هم که صحبت با مسئولین کشور در حال که 3 ماه پیش داشتیم جمهوری اسلامی موافقت کرد که همه موبدان دنیا بتونن در تهران یا یزد هر که انجمن موبدان ایران سرآمده موبدان دنیا جمع بشه و جلسه داشته باشه.
And one of the outcomes of the gathering that we had is to try and invite all the Mubed councils and members of the councils to come to Iran one year for a session, a gathering conference of all the worldwide Mubeds so that we can bring this intention to a reality. Now, I'm going to ask a lady who has a question.
سوال کلی پرسید جوابش رو پیدا بدم. و اگر هم حالا هر جایی بشه این یک کنگره میخواد یک گروهی میخواد که تشکیل بشه تصمیم بگیره کجا موبدا دور هم جمع بشن و همه موبدای دنیا حتما به زودی و با این اهداف که هدف یکی باشه جمع میشیم.
It clearly doesn't have to be in Iran, possibly realistically may not be. So we invite the Mubed councils and the Mubeds from any country in the world that feel that they can organize and put together such a gathering of international Mubeds to please get together to do so. We will, of course, cooperate to make that happen from our side as well.
Hello. Okay, so this is coming from Iran. I've been to Iran many times, spoken to many priests over there, including Dastur, Mobedan, Firozkari. I I've always asked this question. What we all know that Mehraban Anjoman is born and in Iran. What is the council? Is there any kind of initiative? Do you all believe in Mehraban Anjoman? Do you believe that he is born? Do you look for him? Do you go searching for him? Will he come to you? No, this is something to do with esotericism or whatever that you call it. But Mehraban Anjoman is going to be our savior. So do you believe that in Iran?
میپرسی که آیا ما عقیده داریم که 36 یا شاهان برجام قراره که ما رو نجات بده در پایان زمان و دنبال این موضوع هستیم یا نیستیم توی ایران؟
بابت سوشان وقتی که یکایک ما بتوانیم سود رسون طبق داتا من میگم و طبق عرضا در داتا اومده یکایک ما اگر بتوانیم طبق 43 بند 1 خوشبختی دیگران رو خواستار باشیم یک سوشیانت هستیم.
According to the Garters 43.1, if each person wants for himself or herself as an individual can pursue the wisdom of the Garters in that particular verse and bring happiness to other people, then you find happiness within you. You have then found your own solution. That's Heart 43 verse 1.
وقتی که خوشبختی دیگران رو بخواهیم با داد و دهش بتونیم این کار رو انجام بدیم سراسر گیتی از شادی فرا گرفته میشه و همه میتونیم سودرسان و سودمند باشیم.
If we follow that philosophy and bring happiness to everybody who they're coming into contact with, and this becomes a chain throughout the world, we will be finding a solution. If you're looking for an answer about Mount Anjoman and the Mehraban coming out of the mountain at the end of time, that is not what we are talking about here.
از شاهران هم بخواید بگیم میتونم براتون کامنت بزنم سوالات.
If you want more information about Mehraban and the mountain and Anjoman, we'll talk to you about that later. But let's go on with other questions.
Respected Mobedan, we thank you profusely for coming here today. And we are grateful for the history that you cited to us. The date that sticks out very strongly is 1892, when the Mobedan Association was founded in Iran. It was the year in which Dr. Mehraban took his seat in the British House of Commons. It is the year 30 years after this association was founded in 1861 that already a lot of progress was made in the diaspora in the United Kingdom. What I am really interested in knowing from you, sir, is that we left Iran in the 7th century and it was 1892. So 1100 years of march. Were we brutally and systematically annihilated? And what has the Mobedan Council now got to say to the Iranian government for that restrictive regime? Thank you.
And I think that this is sort of slightly politicized question.
Yes.
It's not the sort of appropriate thing to be raising here. Considering the sensitivity of the Iranian government and minority religious status. So it probably wouldn't be judicious for the women to deal with that here. I'll just tell you what you asked.
Shaheen, let's move on. Let's get another question. Let's get another question, Shaheen. Shaheen, let's move on.
The next question
Another question is at the back, I think, in Good evening.
I just needed to elaborate on the word fatwa in one of your columns that you mentioned. So how does that play the role in our religion?
What do you say?
Fatwa.
How does it affect the what? Fatwa. What is that? Fatwa. Because fatwa she has.
انجمن موبدان تشخیص میده در هر دوره‌ای که مراسم و برنامه‌ها رو به روز بکنه. مثلا یکی از فتواهایی که آخرین مرحله دادیم این بود که وقتی که شخص درگذشته رو میخوان خاک کنن باش کشتی نو خاک نکنن، کشتی خود شخص درگذشته مثلا باش خاک بشه، روی اون شخص دیگه دیده نشه. این یکی از
Fatwa only means an edict, an order, and the fatwa that was issued by the Women's Council. One example would be that when somebody dies, you don't use a new kushti to put them into the coffin or into the grave, you use an old kushti. That was an example of a fatwa from the Women's Council. Or another thing that you don't have their faces open for the viewing when they die. So these are the sorts of things that we call a fatwa. That is an edict or an order that's been issued from the priest's council.
توی برنامه‌های خانوادگی، توی احوال شخصی، زرتشتیان، ازدواج، طلاق، تمامی اینها همش تو ایران انجمن موبدان تصمیم گیرنده هست.
Anything that concerns marriages, deaths, divorces, anything to do with private life, it's all within the remit, therefore the fatwa, if you like, of the priest's council.
آخرین فتوایی هم که داریم زن و مرد طبق دین زرتشتی ارث مساوی می‌کنن.
The most recent fatwa that has been issued by the priest's council is to make it absolutely clear that in the Zoroastrian religion, men and women have equal rights in all areas of life. I'm looking to see if there's any more hands up. There's one question over here.
The one in the group.
فارسی میگم. تشکر ویژه دارم از جناب دکتر مهربان پولادی که کازین منم هستن. تشریف آوردن در ما مستضیف کردن در این برنامه. سوال دینی داشتم در مورد آفرینا و که شما میگید تو اوستا به چه معنی هستش و یکی هم روی تیبلایی که ما میچینیم چیزا بیشتر شیر و شراب و شربت و اینا هستش تو مراسم ها. اینا نمادهای چه چیزهایی هستن؟
The question from Dolly Puladi was to thank Mehraban for being here, pointing out his Pesaramo, the cousin, and that she's asking two questions. One is about Afriname, where we put our hands up one finger, and what does it mean, what's its significance in the Avesta? And the second question she asked was about the role of the wine, the milk, and the water, and what they symbolize.
مهم این هست که ما وقتی اوستا میخوانیم معنیش رو بفهمیم.
The important thing is to try to understand the meaning of the Avesta that we recite.
و در اوستا میگیم آفرینا میخشد یا نه.
So we say Afriname Sharios.
درود میفرستیم بر یکتای خداوند بزرگ اهورامزدا.
We send greetings to the one great God Ahura Mazda.
انگشت یکتایی که اشو زرتشت هم تو عکس ببینید دستش بالا هست، یعنی خداوند بزرگ رو ما به عنوان یکتا خداوند یکتا پرست هستیم. نخستین محور از جهانبینی دین زرتشتی.
The picture of Ashur often depicts Ashur with one finger up, denoting that we believe in one God, the great God. It's not necessarily up there, but it's just the finger is up. And this is the main principle of Zoroastrianism, that we believe in one God, Ahura Mazda.
دومیش ویسپو خاطره هست. ویسپه یعنی همه، خاطره یعنی آرامش دهنده.
And We also say Isbuhatram, which Ispa means all or everybody, everything, and Hatram is the giver of calm, peace, and tranquility.
یعنی درود میفرستیم از نماینده خداوند روی زمین اشو زرتشت که آرامش رو برای همه ما به وجود آورد.
We believe that Ashu Zarathustra has brought the message of peace and tranquility to all of us.
از یک خدای کیست؟ دو اشو زرتشت پیامبر خداوند روی زمین ما زرتشتی هست.
Second indication of a finger is to recognize that Ashu Zarathustra is the second important character person in our belief system. It is Ashu Zarathustra that has brought the message of Ahura Mazda to all of us, the message of peace and tranquility.
این از هزارهای دور تو مراسم برنامه‌ها تو نیرنگ‌ها تو دارباز اینها ما این مراسم رو داریم بدیم.
These are the customs that we've maintained, all our traditions, all our practices, all our religious observances.
بعد نمادهایی که سر سفره گذاشته میشه همین نمادهای امشاسپندان هستن. ما 7 امشاسپند در دینمون داریم.
The things that we put on our sufre, on all the sufres that we set out, are representative, symbolic representations of the 7 amshaspands that we have.
همه سفره، سفره نوروز، شب یلدا، سفره‌های گوناگون 7 نماد رو داریم. انسان نمادش سپهبد هست، یعنی انسانی که سر سفره ایستاده خودش شخص هرمزد هست، یعنی سپهبد نخستین.
All our ceremonies, all of them, whether it's Nowruz, Mehraban, Kirtan, Sadir, Yalda, we always have a sufre. And on the sufre, we always set out the 7 items that represent the 7 amshaspands.
انسان خودش نماد سپهبد هست. اولی میتونه باشه به عنوان سپهبد.
And the human beings can be the first one in the guise of Sepedhamad.
پله بعدی بهمن هست، یعنی منش نیک. سفره تخم مرغ داریم که نماد زایش کیهانی هست و شیر هم در مراسم گذاشته میشه.
We have Vuhumana, the rightful thinking represented by milk, the animal kingdom, or eggs, the animal kingdom.
شما تو مراسم‌های گوناگون می‌بینید که تخم مرغ رو می‌ذاریم برای گواهگیری و بعدش دور سر می‌چرخونیم، بالا سر عروسی‌ها می‌چرخونیم، یا کسی که خیلی برامون مهم هست تخم مرغ می‌چرخونیم و بعد می‌ندازیم می‌شکنه.
We wedding ceremonies, we have an egg and we circulate it around the heads of the married couple, and it's very important. It represents birth, life, animals, world, fecundity going on, and then we throw it away.
تو مراسم گواهگیریمون هم داریم.
Especially in our marriage ceremonies.
پله بعدی اردیبهشت هست، آتش که سر سفره روشن می‌کنیم. آتش ما توی ایران معمولا آتش رو روشن نمی‌کنیم، آتش خوابیده می‌ذاریم یا همون چراغ روحانی که هست. نماد اردیبهشت یعنی بهترین پاکی و راستی.
Ashabaheshta is the sign of truth, the best cleanliness, the best purity, and it is represented by fire. As you saw, we don't have fire burning in a big way in our Afrikanus, but we do have it in the form of a candle or an oil light.
شهریور نماد خویشتن‌داری هستش، نماد تقویت نفس هست، نماد تقویت درون هست که مثلا ما در پایان روز چقدر تعریف از دیگران داریم، چقدر بد داریم، پس بهتر است که قوی، محکم و صرف باشیم مثل فلز.
And Shahrivar represents inner strength, dynamism, ambitions, and determination. It's both interior and external strength and energy, and it's represented by metal.
سفره که همیشه نماد مادر هست، سپندارمز هست. همونطور که مادر زایش انجام میده، طبیعت هم زایش رو انجام میده. مادر مانند طبیعت.
And Sependarmas is represented by Sepenta Almighty, and it's represented by the whole of the table of things that are nurturing and nourishing as a mother does. And I always put earth in my table as well. and that's not here today, but that could be present as well. Just finishing off the representations that are on the table.
آب نماد خرداد هست، یعنی رسایی، تندرستی، یعنی خودشناسی، خیلی مهم است.
Water is a very important symbol on the table representing Khordad, Paratat, and it's a very, very important part of knowing oneself.
شربت و اینا که می‌ذاریم، شراب اینا همه نماد خرداد هست و گل و گیاه و اینها نماد امرداد یا بیمردی و جاودانی.
And of course, alongside the water, we also have wine and other liquids that are all very important. And then Amaratat, or immortality, is represented by the plant kingdom.
اشو زرتشت توی دادها گفته اول ما باید با همه این مراسمایی که برگزار خودمون رو بشناسیم، بعد خدا رو بخوایم بشناسیم. اول خودمون رو باید بشناسیم. اول گیتی رو باید بشناسیم. طبق دادها آتیش 45 بندگرد.
And the Gathas 45:10, actually Zarathustra teaches us in the Gathas that the most important thing before we even think about getting to know Ahura Mazda is to get to know ourselves better. And to know oneself is the most important thing.
45 and 10.
45:10, as I said. Now there's a question, the lady being waiting up there.
I had a quick question regarding the fire that is fed during the prayers. Mobedan was asked I remember when we did the prayers, we fed the fire basically, but we were mentioning that. Is this a new thing where the Mobedan are just leaving the fire at the beginning and not really feeding the fire? That was the main question. برای کسانی که فارسی زبان هستن خواستم اول سپاسگزاری از موبدان کنم که این همه راه از ایران آمدن و این سخنان زیبا گفتن. سوال من درباره آتش بود که وقتی ما به آتش روشن میشه در نیایش که موبدان میکنه از اول تا آخر آتش زمان فیروز آذربایجان است این نیایش انجام میشد. این سوال من سپاس.
ما باید واژه‌ها رو بشناسیم. اول ما ستایش داریم، نیایش داریم، خوشنودی داریم و پرستش. این خیلی مهم است. ببخشید یه مقدار تخصص بشه. ستایش، نیایش، پرستش.
ستایش is actually admiration, reverence. So we have reverence, prayer, worship, and
خوشنود کردن. یسناییچه، بهماییچه، خشنوتراییچه، فرستستگریچه.
And praise. So these are the four aspects. So reverence, prayer, worship, and praise.
ستایش فقط و فقط مخصوص خداوند هست.
So reverence is for God.
نیایش نیروهای متافیزیکی هست که برای زندگی لازمه و مورد نیایش قرار میگیره، مانند آتش، نیروی خورشید، نیروی ما. و برای همین هم است که ما در کتاب اوستا آتش نیایش داریم، ماه نیایش داریم، خورشید نیایش داریم.
And when we pray, the prayer is necessary for both inner peace, inner strength and nourishment, and also to praise the physical energies that we see and find around us.
پرستاری از یکایک یکدیگر لازم هست. در طبیعت از پرستاری بکنیم. اما پرستش اسم مصدر هست و تو فاعلش میشه پرستار. پرستار داره پرستاری میکنه، پس ما باید پرستاری کنیم.
And worship in Persian has a meaning and also has a kind of looking after. And the word for nurse, parastar, comes from this idea of parastit, where you worship, you look after, you take care of.
خدا به پرستش ما احتیاجی نداره. خدا به پرستش ما احتیاجی نداره.
And of course God does not need us to take care of God, of Ahura Mazda.
ما اهورا مزدا رو طبق گاتا ستایش میکنیم.
So we don't worship and take care of Ahura Mazda, we show reverence to Ahura Mazda.
بعد آتش بهرام از 16 آتش تشکیل شده.
Fire is the big fire is made, the great fire is made from 16 different types of fire.
از آتش فرقه‌های گوناگون.
From different sorts of fires, you may not be aware of lightning fire, haystack fires, all sorts of different sorts of fires that can occur.
ما سعی می‌کنیم همانند آتش پاک باشیم، نیایش که می‌خوایم بکنیم پاک باشیم، به سوی بالا باشیم، بدی‌ها رو از بین ببریم، حرارت‌ده باشیم. اگه آتش درون خاموش بشه شخص درگذشت، یعنی دیو نسوش.
And in recognition that fire is a very important cleansing thing, if we lose the inner fire of ourselves, if we don't look after our own inner cleanliness, then we lose everything. So we must be aware of our own inner fire, and also to be aware that fire cleanses all impure matter.
6 تا آفرینش در گاتا اوستا هستش، در کتاب‌های همه ادیان 6 اومده، ولی جالب اینه که در دینکت سوم 7مین آفرینش که نام میبره آتش هستش.
We have 6 different elements that are mentioned, but in the Dinkat, the most important element of all is always mentioned as fire.
حرکت آتش یعنی که گرمابخشی یکاییه که انسان‌ها به یکدیگر و همین هست. چرا آتش بهرام؟ چون برترقلن یا برهرام یعنی آتش پیروزی، آتش بهرام یعنی آتش پیروزی، آتش تقویت درون، قدرت درون، و برای همه زرتشتی‌ها قابل گیرش است.
And the reason why Atesh Bahram or Atesh Bahram is such an important shrine or an important feature in the Zoroastrian way of life is that Bahram means victory, and it is the victory of each human being, their endeavors and their effort to overcome the difficulties in life and to keep a positive framework, a positive attitude to overcome difficulties and to keep going forward. So the inner fire and the outer fire of the Atesh Bahram have a great significance and meaning to Zoroastrians. Any more questions? Please, the lady waiting patiently there. Yes? And we've marked you the next one.
Thank you very much for your lecture and coming here. It's very interesting. I just want to ask 2 short questions. Number 1, can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me? I want to ask, from childhood, we've been told that the last Shah of Iran was a Zatosti and that he wore his kasti around his arm. Is that real? And the present, his son, wants to come back to Iran. And do you think that will ever happen in our lifetime? Is that possible?
Sure. I'm so sorry, I didn't catch what you said about something around his arm. Who? What? The last Shah had something around his arm.
It's not appropriate.
I think, Klaus, I don't think we want to talk about that, but that's kind of quasi-political as well. Whether the Shah comes back to Iran or not is not appropriate for this sort of gathering, and the sensitivities of the regime matters. So you might talk to him privately, but perhaps we can have that in a public debate.
Okay, next question. Shaheen. Next question.
And I think there's also one final one, and I'm sorry, we're going to have to wrap it up because we look at the time and the catering, and some of you have got journeys to take. So we'll have your question, and then Django's question, I think, and then we'll have to call it a day. You will have a chance. There's a question, there's a third question?
Video.
Oh, video. We want to watch the video, so it's back in action as well, that's true. So let us have your question, thank you.
و یه میشن با مشکل مسئول بندوشتا چه تو ایرون چگونه که اگه مقابل زودنی و دری باید جزمون اگه جزمون نها چرا و باید صوت باشم چرا نها و چرا ما شما رو اصلا چی مکار کنیم یعنی پشت آوری چی بشه اصلا بهش اهمیت ندید و خیلی چشم باز شکل به عنوان موبل شما چیه تو گفتی برای ما دارید و ببخشید که حتی سوال کوتاه ماهیایش وقتی که مخینیم آیا باید سلف مو بشیم وقتی یا نه اصلا مهم خیلی بچشم
در این رابطه یا
Just for information, that question was asked in Dari, so even some of the Iranians do not understand Dari. So, and I think she was saying, why not, we should all be speaking in Dari, quite right, I'm very fond of Dari, but the fact is that he's going to say it in Farsi now, and then I'm going to translate it into English. Or perhaps you want to say it in English yourself.
ما توی ایران خوشبختانه چند سال هست زبان دری رو داریم کار میکنیم با بچه‌ها و جالب‌تر این که کتاب‌های دینی بچه‌ها رو حالا زبانی اینجا به خط اوستا رو دارن یاد میگیرن بچه‌ها، یعنی تمامی بچه‌ها از سال اول دبستان با خط اوستا آشنا میشن و دیگه اوستا رو با خط اوستایی میخونن. زبان دری هم داریم آموزش میدیم، جایزه میدیم تو ایران و زبان دری رو هم داریم زنده می‌کنیم. ولی این خط اوستایی جا افتاده، زبان دری هم توی یزد و توی مدارس داریم این کار رو انجام میدیم.
The good news is that Dari is now being taught in all schools in Yazd, there are Austrian schools, and that is helping to revive a very, very endangered language. And Avesta is also being taught in children in schools, and they're learning to read it in the original Khatte Avestai.
کل ایران دین دبیره اوستا رو می‌خونه.
So they're learning to read in Din Dabire de Avesta. So there is some effort of reviving these lost languages.
بله بفهم سوال ماهیایش ببینید بعد از خورشیدیش خونده میشه، معمولا پسین خونده میشه و به سمت خورشید نیایش رو میخونن. ماه رو یک مقدار میشن سمت ماه نیایش، پسین غروب ماه نیایش رو به سمت ماه برده میکنن. مخصوصا اون قسمتی که میگه بیشفتت باد اندر ماه پر ماه بیشفتت باد ماه، یعنی ماه اندر هست پر هست ولی نیست. ماه نیایش رو میشه.
The question was about the Mah Niyayesh, the moon Niyayesh. We have a Khurshid Niyayesh, which is the sun Niyayesh, and Mehraban explained that we sing the Mah Niyayesh, the moon Niyayesh, in the evenings, when the sun goes round and the moon takes over. And it's perhaps a lesser known Niyayesh, because I must say I've not heard it ever recited myself, ever. So,
هدف از ماه گفتم این بحث نیایش نیروهایی هست اندر ماه پر ماه بیشفتر، یعنی تسلط بر تمامی وجودم، نیروهای درونم و نیرو بخشیه. اصلا بحث اون ماه نیست، اون ماه سمبولیک هست، ما نیستیم به سمتش.
It's a question of showing respect for all the different forces of nature, which I mentioned, including the sun, moon, as sources of light. Probably, Jahangir, you're going to have your last question, and then we're going to wrap it up, and hopefully you see the video.
Good evening, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
The suggestion you offered was an experience which I have not enjoyed before as much. Partly because you involved the congregation with your actions and performances. So this is where the first time I heard the Parsis being quiet, including myself. The question I wanted to ask you is, could you offer us some of a brief explanation of the symbolism of the actions that took place during the judgment? Thank you.
That's a big question. It's a big question. حضورتون و وقتی اولین باره که در این جامعه به این بزرگی بوده که پارسی ها سرشت در نگنده و اضافه بر این نقطه که آیا میتونید سمبولیزم این کارهای و افکارهایی که شما انجام دارید توضیح بدید.
ما توی گاته‌هات 31 بند 9 نیروهای مینوی وجود رو داریم. یسنای 55 بند 1 هم 9 بخش وجود درونی رو داریم.
We have sections of the gathas that refer to the inner qualities and energies that we have, and in another part, 53, one I can't remember exactly, if you put it in Gatha, you have references to the outer energies that we revere.
در دینکرد 3 و دینکرد 7 ما نیروهای وجود مینویه در اون 30 نیروی مینویه درون داریم، برای همین از 30 روزه میگیریم 30 نیروی مینویه درون داریم.
Spiritual strength that we have inside is referred to in Gatha 53.
مثلا شما بوی غذا رو میفهمید، خب احساس میکنید، در صورتی که لمس هم نکنید این بو به مشام میرسه.
For example, when you eat food, you actually feel the flavors, you pick up the smell, the taste of these things.
اینها نیروهای معنوی تشکیل دهنده هستند. مثلا روان خودش 5 تا نیروی معنوی داره.
For example, the soul, the soul, the spirit, has within itself 5 different qualities of spiritual energy.
من وقتی که دست میکشم به سمت صورتم یعنی فر و شکوه از آسمان در درون من تقویت گردد.
When I do this action, I'm drawing down the spiritual strength of the fire, the strength of what can I call it, the energy of the divine, spirit of wisdom to come upon me.
یا وقتی که آتش مقدس هست دست میبریم سمت آتش میکشیم یعنی این آتش من سعی میکنم پاک باشم.
When I do this across the fire, it's saying bring that quality of purity of the fire to me, come into my body.
بتونم خوشبختی رو از ارزانی بدارم، بتونم گرما بخش باشم.
May I have the warmth to spread to other people from the fire that gives me warmth, may I spread that warmth onto other people.
و نیروهای انرژی درون رو مثلا شما خاکستر رو که من اینجا میزنید یعنی نیروی من چشم سوم رو بتونم فوران کنم، بتونم بینایی رو بیشتر کنم، خیلی بیشتر آگاه باشم به همه چیز.
So as Parsis put the ash to their forehead, it's like a third eye. It's asking you to have the insight and the vision that is a spiritual extra dimension to one's body. And so we do it with fire with a...
از خاکستر آتشه یعنی سوخته این من تا سوختنم همینطور محکم نیستم.
And it's suggesting that the fire is burning and I'm saying as long as the fire is burning, may I also be burning with strength and the vitality of life.
وقتی که میگیم شکست اهریمن باد یعنی دور باشه نیروهای اهریمنی به سمت پایین هست.
In our prayers we say shakasta ahriman bad, it means may there be ahriman, the devil, the evil forces be broken, be destroyed and defeated. And that's because we want all negative things to be put to one side and not to be around us.
شما فرقه رو هم که نگاه کنید دایره وسط زندگی بی پایانه اون سه بخش زیر همون اهریمنی یعنی همیشه اهریمن پایین ترین مرحله زندگی.
He says that the 3 parts below the circle, that you find in the circle of the covenant, of the promise of the covenant of the contract of keeping your word, below it are the negative ahrimanic energies below.
سه بخش بالش یعنی حکومت و بخت و باورش اون سه بخش پایین یعنی دشمن و دشمن.
And above it is much book the harrows, the thoughts, the words, the deeds, and there are the negative bad thoughts, bad words, bad deeds. Right, I think we have now come to the end of our questions and answers, and we're going to try and fit it into the film. Hopefully we will, and then we will wrap up the full 8 minutes film, so it's not very long, and then we're going to do the final wrapping up. And then, of course, Mobedan is here, we all have dinner. Of course, he wants to have his dinner in peace to get his strength back after this very long talk. And after the dinner, he wants to be here if you would like to ask more questions. Are we ready? Lights? And I'll go to him.
friends, members of the ZTF, distinguished guests from the WZO, our honored visitor, Dr. Mehraban Puladi, and everybody else in the audience, including our general sponsor. It's with deep gratitude and a profound sense of history that I stand in front of you today. We gather not just to honor a remarkable man and scholar, Dr. Puladi, but to reflect on something far greater, our collective past, our shared heritage, and the road ahead. In moments such as these, we must pause and remember that we are just bearers of a sacred torch passed down through the generations, and it is both our privilege and our responsibility to keep it burning lightly. I think the last words on the video that we just saw said, "Where unity will blossom under the sun." And I thought those were beautiful words, so thank you, Dr. Salume, who has probably written that. But we live in a time where the currents of history often and quite regularly sweep us into different directions. Yet it is at times like this that we need to root ourselves in our legacy and in the deeds of people who came before us. For as many people may try to put us into separate categories, Parsis, Iranians, Zoroastrians from India, Zoroastrians from the UK, the North American Zoroastrians, the truth is that we are all one and the same people. And I think Dr. Puladi mentioned that in his one question answer as well. So thank you for that. Today is an interesting day. We're here as part of a joint event organized by both the ZTFE and the WZO. Some of us may see us as a separate, divided by organizational lines, but let us be clear, there is no such thing as a ZTFE religion or a WZO religion. We are all one community bound by one avastha, our shared faith, our shared values, and our shared commitment to Asha, truth, justice, and righteousness. We cannot and therefore we must not fracture ourselves over minor differences. And thank you for reminding us about that, Dr. Puladi. The world is all too ready and already probably forgotten about us. If we continue to let ourselves be divided, we will be reduced to a footnote in history, perhaps a curious anecdote in the annals of ancient histories and religions. But if we come together, if we focus on what unites us rather than what divides us, we can ensure that the Zoroastrian flame or the fire that you spoke about in your second last question does not extinguish. In the time-honored custom for Zoroastrian speeches, I seem to have digressed a bit, but to Dr. Puladi and to Professor Salume Gulami and everybody else who has attended here, I would like to extend my personal and sincere thanks. And on behalf of the UK Zoroastrian community, I would like to thank you for coming here. We understand the troubles, trials and tribulations you had in getting here, let alone standing here and speaking so eloquently and answering most of our questions. Just to summarize some things that I took away, I think we all agree that Zoroastrians community should be united. The Anjoman-e Mobedan is a little bit younger, as Mehraban pointed out, probably 30 years younger than the ZTFE, but as important and even more important in terms of its outreach and the fact that it is still in Iran. It was great to hear a little bit about this. We should all remember Ha 43.1 and look for that Saushant within us before we start looking for Saushant outside. Bringing the quality of the fire, the strength and its vitality, and the warmth to spread to other people, I think is very important. And I think one of the essences of Zoroastrianism that we tend to forget on a fairly regular basis. And finally, Umata Hukka Huvarasha. Good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. Thank you, Dr. Puladi, for reminding us that Iran is not just a country on a map, or a cat-shaped country on a map, but a deep well of history that pumps through our veins. Despite the thousands of miles and a few linguistic barriers, there is no theological difference between a Parsi from Mumbai and an Irani Zoroastrian from Gaza. when it comes to the heart of our faith. That, my friends, is the marvel of Zoroastrianism. It has survived centuries of migration, persecution, and hopefully will continue into the future. At the end of the day, our strength lies in our unity, in our pursuit of asha, truth, righteousness, and justice. And if we can't manage that, then at least let's agree on one thing. My speech has come to an end, and dinner will be served soon. Thank you very much.
سپندار شاستند و آبانمای 3762 به نام اعظم ازیار روز بخیر حضور محترم سروران گرامی سپندار شاستند و آبانمای 3762 بر همگی خجسته باد. سپاس فراوان جهت حضورتان امروز و همچنین سپاس فراوان از حضور دکتر مهربان که خسرو سیرین پولادی برنشین انجمن موبدان ایران و همچنین خانم دکتر سالمه غلامی و همسرشان آقای لازم به یادآوری است که برای اولین بار است که فرنشین انجمن موبدان ایران مراسم جشنخوانی تندرستی برای همگان در این انجمن همراه با سازمان جهانی زرتشتیان برگزار سپاس فراوان از همگی شما و شب شما بخیر و شاد. In English, سپندار مدرم شاستند و آبان ماه 3762 in the name of Ahura Mazda, dear Lord, good afternoon or good evening. سپندار مدرم شاستند و آبان ماه خجسته to all. Thank you all of you for attending today, and also a special thanks to Mr. Dr. Mehraban and Sivin Puladi, the President of Anjoman-e Mobedan Iran, and also Mrs. Dr. Salome and her husband, Mr. Lee. It is necessary to inform all, which is for the first time the President of the Anjoman-e Mobedan Iran performing Tandrusti Jashan for all in here with the jointly of World Zoroastrian Organization. Thank you all and have a great night.
Thank you, Kashaya, for your talk. Also thanking Javed, our honorary treasurer, and prior to that, Shaheen, for the various translations, which is not an easy task, and also to make sure that questions were answered appropriately and accordingly. You see, as mentioned by Javed and also mentioned by Mehraban and also by myself yesterday, that yes, at times our community, we have our differences, but we have more commonality. And it is because that there's only one Avesta, one Prophet Zarathustra, and one Ahura Mazda. So when things come to difficulty, we do rally together because we are a family. And when the video was being shown earlier about the establishment of the Mobedan Council in 1892, when Dr. Dadabhai Naoroji was elected to the parliament. But what is important is this, that at that time in history, the Zoroastrian community of India, the Zarathustri community of the United Kingdom, and the Zarathustri community of Iran were cooperating together to ameliorate, to uplift, to emancipate the condition of the Zoroastrian community in Iran. And one should never forget this. Today, our two organizations, the ZTF and the WZO, are together coming, and also not forget that the World Zoroastrian Organization in the 1980s was established through the ZTFE, and its primary objective was to help the Iranian Zoroastrians. And at that time, we had Arbab Rustam Giv here, the Zartushti brothers. We have also got the late, Arbab Mehraban Farangi and others trying to do and work together. Shaheen has been, I think today, we would say the longest Iranian Zoroastrian in this country. I would say because she came with a very young and her late father Shariar and her mother Lal were very much the paternal and maternal figures of the Iranian Zoroastrian community. We had, of course, then afterwards Shahrukh, Simin Shahrukh and others coming, Jamshid Falati, Faridov Falati and many others today. But what I would like to share is just to show you in our archives, we have this sort of articles which are exchanges of letters between the Zoroastrians of Iran and the UK. This is a Nowruz greeting sent to us from Iran in about 1906. And we have got sort of letters here when we are sort of lobbying the authorities of Iran around that period. And I would just like to read a very short snippet. This is dated October 1906. It is a special general meeting of the Parsi residents of Great Britain. Invited this fund and invited the then Shah d'Affaires of Iran to come here. It says, proposed by Dadabhai Nauroji Esquire, seconded by Sir Mancheji Mehraban Bhavanagari, Order of the Line of the Sun. The Order of the Line of the Sun is an Iranian honor given to bestowed on Sir Mancheji Bhavanagari, whose portrait is next to Dadabhai. And it goes the resolution. The Parsi residents of the United Kingdom in special general meeting assembled, and I quote, have received with the greatest satisfaction a message from Tehran, from the Zoroastrian community, that the Zoroastrian subjects of the Persian Empire have been accorded by His Imperial Majesty, the Shahanshah, the privilege of representation in the parliament established by the order of His Majesty, that one of his distinguished members, Arbab Jamshid, a Jamshidian, has been elected as their representative, and that the meeting is unanimously of the opinion that the best thanks of the community be respectfully conveyed to His Imperial Majesty from the broad-minded act of justice towards the Zoroastrian subjects. There are quite a few, and this exchange of correspondence continued till Reza Shah came to power. And we have got one of the very few letters of Reza Shah with his own signature in our archives. We had, during the video, we had in the last entourage of the Mobeds from the Yaz Atash Mehram, we had Mobed Mehraban Firuzgari, Dr. Khorshidian, and others. And I recollect that we remember them from this very stage in 2005 when our patron Mohamed Mehraban opened the World Congress in 2005, and we had them present here together with the High Priest of the Ubada Iran Shah, with us. And also previously, I also reflect we have Mohamed Firuz Azad Vishnast here, And of course, he told us that how he, together with the young Mobedan Rustam Shahzadi, he had gone to India to study at the Kama Fawzan Madrasa. So these are close links, and this is what I'm trying to say, folks, that yes, we have our differences, and like all families, we have issues, but we do rally together. So it's important to bear that in mind. And of course, much of the Jashan today, what Mobedan Mehraban was doing, and yesterday he participated in the Jashan with our priest. He could recite parts of it. Yes, there are certain compilations are different, but the Avesta is only one. And today, many of the things who are familiar with the Avesta could spot that. With those words, I think it's appropriate that we do thank Mobedan Mehraban, who has been with us. It's a great joy, and I think to the best of my knowledge, and I can be corrected, this is the first time we have had a Jashan performed in the UK by an Iranian Mobedan from Iran, and none other than the president of the Mobedan Council. So what more can we ask for? I think what I would like to now request is to present a few gifts on all our behalf, the Anjoman and the Zatushi community of the UK, together with the WZO and the ZTFE. So first of all, I would like to request the newly elected, sorry, Mohammed, please come. The newly elected chairman of the World Zoroastrian Organization, Daraj Motiwala, to present a book. Zoroastrian History and Imagination. And this book is the publication of the very first exhibition, the Zoroastrian exhibition we had in the West, specifically on Zoroastrianism, at the School of Oriental African Studies, of which very much organized by Dr. Sarah Stewart. We've got Professor Almut Hinze, who's one of the co-curators, and together with other curators from India. So we had a wonderful exhibition, and also artifacts from both from India, from Iran, from Uzbekistan, and other places as well. So please, if I can request your eyes on Thank you. We have got a few other gifts. Thank you, Shai, for translation I often forget, my apologies. But I know Dr. Mehraban does understand a bit of English because we have communicated in English together. So, you know. What I would also like to request is here our trustee, Lucy Dalal, to please come forward and present a Sesame Centennial medallion on all our behalf to Mobedan Mehraban. Celebrated 150 years. Okay, specific that year, but it was, well, the medallion is on all of our behalf. Thank you. I would now like to request Nawaz Badsha and together with Anahita Madan to come and present the box of chocolates. Yes, so Nawaz and Anita, come please present, if you can present this. If I can request our Vice President Jasmine Sora, together with Shiny, Kashaya, please. If I can request, first of all, to present this bouquet of flowers to Professor Salome Puladi. And just request Kashaya to present this box of chocolates. I can just request everybody. Can I request Darius to please come with us? Javed, Rusi, Rohinton, Toba, and of course, Karishma. Have I forgotten anything? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If I can also request Yazat Baba. So just slightly come here. Okay, what we are going to do is this, that it's customary to give and present a shawl of honor to Mehraban and, oh sorry, Zubin Setna, my apologies. If I've forgotten anything, I'm sorry, it's not deliberate sometimes. Any committee members from the, any committee members from the WTO? All committee members got the WZO and the ZTF you want just overlook. Please do so. Now, we are not that strict, but we did something. Okay, can I request Roshan Abari and Where's Ratan? I know where they please sing, but Roshan and Ratan? Okay, now, what I would... Now, what I would like to request, I know he doesn't want to come, but what I would like to request is Dr. Zar Amrolia to please come and on all our behalf to wrap Mehraban with the show on our behalf. been very pivotal in helping Mehraban and Salome for quite some time in Iran when they're doing the Zoroastrian Museum, amongst other things. So, thank you very much. Thank you for everybody coming. I hope you've had a very informative evening. Food is waiting, but before that, I'd just like, at this point, the group has increased, but to have a group photograph in all of us. Okay, so food is going to be served. I'd like to thank, in essence, Quiche Restaurant for doing all the hard work for us, and also thanking everybody. Plenty of food. And what I would request is you can talk to Mehraban after the meal. I would just like to also thank our guest from SOAS, Professor Anjoman-e being with us, and also Dr. Mariano. And also like to thank Lester Curtis and John Curtis being with us. Thank you. If I have anyone, I'm not going to mention that. Thank you.
Hello, can I request everybody just sit down, please? It's much quicker if you do it table by table. There's lots of food, so if you don't mind bearing with us, if you could please sit down, it will be much appreciated. There are two stations. There's one station on that side, there's another one on this side. So if I can just request the first two tables on this side and the first two tables on that side to make their way to the station.